Good morning. I am coming to you live from the art room. So, you are going to be printmaking today, or at least starting printmaking. I do want you to do a few practice ones before I give you some of the good paper so you can do some final versions. Just so you know, for this assignment, I'm anticipating that everyone's going to turn in 10 prints. I know 10 sounds like a lot, but really you can knock out several in a day. It'll probably take you 2 days max to print all of these once you actually get your linoleum card. So, here is what is going to happen. You have a few things out on the table here. There are different types of printmaking inks. Be careful with these because, like a lot of other things, they might not come out of your clothes easily. I think white was a bad choice for me to wear today for this demo. I have red, yellow, green, blue, and also black and white. I have these called Barons. I'll explain what these do in a little bit. This is called a brayer, and this is actually a printing press that you can check out if you want. I don't use this anymore. I don't think it's in very good shape. This has been here for a really, really long time. So I don't really rely on this a whole lot, but if you want to try it, experiment with it, that's fine. Like I said, I want you to turn in 10 prints, but not all 10 have to be perfect. I do want to see like 3, really good ones that you've thought solidly about, but you can turn in some of your practice ones too. We'll talk more about that when I get back. But what I want to do is go over the process with you today. So I just grabbed some of this white paper just to get started. This is from that area where it says 11 by 17 paper. So this is what I'm going to use. I have my linoleum print. There are some knives, plastic knives out here as well, and then also these printing trays. Please, 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 please sanitize your hands. You're going to be sharing all of this equipment, and there is no way around it for everyone to get printing, so you really need to make sure that you are sanitizing your hands before you touch all of these shared supplies. So this is how this is going to work. So I have the black ink ready to go, and I have these plastic trays as well. What I can do is I can take some of the ink and just kind of scoop it out. It's, just so you know, it's a little bit more coagulated than regular paint, so it's a little bit thicker than a regular paint. So don't expect it to be like, this really, when I think of ink, I think of like pen ink, and it's not quite like that. It's a little bit thicker. So once you get some ink onto the tray, this is where you're actually, if you want to add like another color, I would do one color just to start with, because you don't want to start doing all the colored ones just yet until you get some practice. So I've put my ink into there, and then I'm going to take a brayer. So there's a couple different kinds of brayers here. These wider ones are a little bit more rubbery, whereas these shorter ones are a little bit more plasticky feeling to me. I prefer the rubbery ones, but it's up to you. I feel like these just kind of dig into the crevices a little bit more and cover more area, but you can decide for yourself once you try. So I'm just going to roll the brayer across this plate. And as I'm doing that, I'm starting to spread the ink out a little bit onto the plate. And at this point, I've picked up a good amount of ink from that. So I'm going to roll it across my print, and hopefully, somewhat evenly, be able to cover most of the area of this print. And again, I actually haven't done this in a couple years, so it takes a little bit of practice. Hopefully this first one turns out okay, but that's why we're going to make 10 of them, because it gives you a chance to experiment, to try different things, keep it low pressure. Not all 10 have to be perfect. Just show me what you've done. And if you want to print more than 10, that's absolutely fine too. So I'm just covering this and hopefully getting most of the areas. Having a little trouble with that part. Sometimes the corners and edges are a little bit rough. All right. So what I now have is I have my print inked. So there's a couple different ways people do this. My preference is to actually put the linoleum down and then do my best to center the paper over it. You can always trim the edges of the paper if you're looking for symmetry, but I put the paper down over top of it. press it down just a little bit. I'm just kind of adhering it with my hands. This is where these barons come in handy. So what the barons do is they allow you to somewhat evenly cover. I'm pressing down with a fair amount of force, and you're going to experiment again over the course of making these 10 prints. Experiment with, you know, the amount of pressure that you need to apply, the amount of ink that you're using, etc. So just kind of pressing down over this whole thing, making sure I got every area. And I am pressing down with a fair amount of force. I'm pretty strong, so, you know. All right. So when I lift up the paper carefully, hopefully what I will have is a nicely transferred print. And remember, the beauty of printmaking is that there are going to be some areas where we see some texture, and that is actually pretty wonderful. Sometimes you can get a second print off of this one if you want to try again, and you can see how it prints a second time. You can even experiment with printing off of this one, so doing a reverse image, and you still have some ink. So you put another piece of paper over this one and then peel it up and see how that looks. So have fun experimenting with this, and when I come back, I'll also get you some access to some nice paper once you've had a little bit of practice. So again, everyone's going to turn in 10. Really importantly, in addition to making sure you sanitize your hands like I mentioned, you have to make sure that the supplies stay clean and that you take care of these. So you can't immediately just go over with another color on this. You have to take these to the sink and rinse them off. The linoleum stands up pretty good to water, so it shouldn't really impact the quality of the linoleum. Rinse this off into the sink and dry it with a paper towel before you start printing again. If you do it when it's soaking wet, it's not going to print as good. Also, wash off the brayer really good with water. Wash off the tray really good with water. I've only got maybe 10 of these, and I don't know where else to buy more. So we need to make sure we take care of these also. And lastly, make sure you wash the knife too, because I don't have many of these. I know these are easier to find, but still, I don't want to have to go buy more. So take care of your supplies. Wash off your linoleum, print and dry. Wash off the brayer and dry it. Wash off the tray and dry it. Wash off the knife and dry it. Put the lid back on the ink. I think that's it. You can email me if you have any questions. I will be available and online. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you when I get back.